Hello! In this tutorial, I am going to talk to you about federal legislative history. So why would you want to find legislative history? Well, first, it may help you discover the intent behind a piece of legislation. Knowing how bills were amended, the information that comes out in reports and hearings and debates about those bills before they become law may help you understand what the legislature intended to accomplish with that piece of legislation. And that may give you some argument in a case that you're trying. Next, kind of in the same vein, it may help you differentiate an issue. So, for example, if you find that a bill was amended to exclude a particular activity or a particular class of person or something like that, and your case involves that action or that person or something along those lines, you may say, hey, this statute was not intended to cover this situation. And I can show that by the amendments that were made in the bill. And then finally, if you're proposing legislation or you're trying to get a piece of legislation sponsored by the House or the Senate, it may be helpful to understand why bills on the same topic either succeeded or failed, or even which legislatures are more apt to sponsor bills on a given topic. So in the United States at the federal level, our legislature is a bicameral legislature, meaning it has two bodies. One is the House of Representatives, and the other is the U.S. Senate. And a bill may originate in either the House or the Senate. It doesn't matter which, except bills raising revenue must originate in the House of Representatives. To better understand legislative history, you first need to be comfortable with how a bill becomes a law. So first, a bill is drafted, and it can be drafted by a legislator or an attorney or a special interest group or organization. It doesn't really matter who drafts the bill. The important part is that it needs to be sponsored by a legislator either in the House or the Senate. If a bill is not sponsored by a legislator, it will not make it to the House or the Senate for discussion. Once a bill is sponsored, it will be introduced in either the House or the Senate, whichever house the legislator is from. So if it was a House legislator that sponsored the bill, then it would be introduced in the House. If it was a Senate legislator that sponsored the bill, it would be introduced in the Senate. And once it's introduced, it is assigned a number, so either a House of Representatives number or a Senate number, depending on which house it's introduced in. And it will be read on the floor for the first time and then referred to a committee. Once a bill is referred to committee, it must be sponsored by a committee chair. And once that happens, hearings will take place, the bill will be marked up and amended. If a committee chair does not sponsor the bill will die in committee. But once a bill is marked up and amended, if it is approved by the majority of the committee, it will be sent back to the originating legislative chamber. And the marked up bill will be accompanied by a committee report. The committee report is the most important piece of legislative history you can find because it will give the committee's notes about the bill, their analysis, their discussion about maybe its potential effects, including financial effects and things like that. So you will get a lot of information about what this bill is meant to accomplish or what it will accomplish and things like that. You'll get a good analysis of the bill. So that's an important piece of legislative history to find. The amended bill will be read and debated in the originating House. And then it will be read and debated again in the originating House. If in the end it is approved, it will be sent to the other legislative chamber. This legislative chamber will repeat the entire process that happened in the originating chamber, meaning it will be sent to committee, it'll be marked up and amended, and it will be sent back to be read and debated and everything like that. If it is amended, it will be sent back to the originating chamber. If the amendments are not accepted by the originating chamber, then a conference committee will be formed and they will work on negotiating an acceptable bill for both chambers. And a conference committee report will come out of those discussions. Once the piece of legislation is approved by both legislative chambers, it is then sent to the president. Once a bill is sent to the president has 10 days to act. And three different things can happen in those 10 days. The president can sign the bill, making it law. The president can take no action at all, and it will automatically become a law. Or the president can veto the bill. Now, a veto can be overridden if it is approved by a 2/3 vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Once a bill is enacted, it is given a session law number. When you are compiling a legislative history for a piece of legislation, there are a few pieces that you may want to find. First is that public law or that session law. That will be the legislation as a whole before it is chopped up by subject matter and codified into the statutes. And sometimes it's helpful to read an entire law in context before it is divided up. Next, you may also want to find the text of the bills. Like I said, if there have been amendments or retractions or anything like that, understanding how the bill has changed through the process can help you understand the intent behind it. You're also going to want to find committee reports. Remember, that's the most important piece of legislative history that you can find because it's going to have all of that analysis about the bill. Next, you may want to find conference reports if there are any, because again, that's all the negotiation and the discussion of trying to find a unified bill that both the House and the Senate can agree on. Next, you may want to find any hearings or debates that are available, because again, that's going to have all of the discussion about the bill and may help you better understand what the issues were with it or what were the major points of the bill. And then finally, you may want to find presidential signing documents. When a bill is either signed or vetoed by the president may issue a signing statement with that piece of legislation. And that is it for this tutorial. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can email us, call us, or stop by and see us.